She began and is the president of an organization called Elevate Life. And every summer, she will tell you about it. She does an intensive time called Identify Impact. So, Andrea? Good morning, ladies. Good morning. So that was a little snippet of my heartbeat, and what I'm pouring the rest of my life into is training TLT. And I see a lot of you out here today. Tomorrow's leaders today. What do I mean by that? Why do I say that? Because your generation needs to stand up and be amazing and awesome the way you were created to be, not tomorrow in the future, today. And I believe in you guys, and that is really my purpose. So you're going to hear a little bit about me. I would love to just take a second to have you all stand up and stretch. Just stand up, stretch up real tall. And there's a multi-purpose for this. It kind of like changes your state, gets you stretched a little bit. But also, in the leadership program that I teach, we are very big on gratitude. So we're going to take this opportunity that you're all standing to do a standing ovation, clap, and give a big hand to Joan, Amanda, and their whole volunteer team, all the ladies that came out. Thank you, ladies. You can have a seat. Gratitude is a very, very important part of training future leaders. So, how did I get here? Who am I? Why am I here? Well, let's see. We are going to talk today about words matter. This is my title for today's talk. And as you see on my table, you see the shirt Words Matter. We're going to do a little activity with some cards that say words matter. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I want to start out with a scripture. This is important for you because my biggest piece that I can impart to any generation, this is not just for the young ladies in the room, this is for the moms in the room, the grandmas in the room, any generation, we have to know who we are and whose we are. Because if you don't know that, where are you going? You need that as your roadmap. That's your foundation, right? They say if you don't stand for something, you'll be good for nothing. Right? Or you'll fall for anything and you'll be good for nothing. You ever hear that? So I'll say it again. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything and you'll be good for nothing. I don't think you girls were called to be good for nothing. I think that you're called for greatness. And you were born for greatness and you have big, big, big plans in store for you. So you have to stay tuned and you have to plug in and stand in who you are. And maybe you're going, well, who am I? Well, we're going to talk about that today. But I know that you are God's masterpiece. Did you know that? Look at your thumb. I want everybody to hold up their thumb. Look at your thumbprint. Did you ever really look at that? You ever take a marker and draw it in and press it and make like even a pattern or something cool with that? That is God's artwork right on you. You are a unique masterpiece. Nobody on the planet has your thumbprint. Nobody on the planet has your unique DNA and giftings and talents to do what you were called to do. I can't do what you were called to do. You can't do what I was called to do. And guess what? We need each other. We can't do it alone. Because if you have a big vision and you catch on to what God has for you, it's going to be big. And you need a team to do it with. So you are God's masterpiece. He created you. Why? So that you can do the good things that He planned for you a long time ago. As you grow and develop, you have to ask yourself that. Why am I here? Right? Now, if I took a survey and I said, hey, raise your hand, tell me, why do you think you're here? Some people may say, well, I want to make a lot of money. I want to be successful. I want to be famous. I want to start a cool business. I want to have children. I want a family. That's beautiful. It's wonderful. You're going to find a lot of things along the way that you think are a good idea. You're going to try them out, maybe try something else. Through my whole 20s, I think I went to 4 different colleges because I was figuring it out, right? You just try. You don't be afraid to try. You just launch out there. And God will, if you pray, and I highly recommend you do involve God in your decisions. And I can tell you a lot about my testimony of when I was in my early years, in my teenage years, a little bit about me, my background. I was born Catholic. and grew up in an Italian Catholic family. My father was an immigrant from Sicily, so I grew up with the Italian family, the relatives that all talk like this. My grandma Angelina, she knitted the blankets and making the ravioli. That was my grandma. And old school, like you don't spend a penny at a restaurant, you eat at home, a hard work ethic, you clear your plate. And then my mom's side, her dad was from Syria, so he had Middle Eastern in our background. He was an immigrant. And it was really interesting growing up in that culture. I loved it. I loved all the food. I was very big into food. That was the thing. You had to finish everything on your plate, which led me to go become a nutritionist. Because honestly, I had a very unhealthy relationship with food. My parents got divorced when I was 6. I was the oldest, and I turned to food for comfort. Don't raise your hand, but inside you may be raising your hand like me too. So that was a really difficult time for me, being a young woman. My body image was not good. I kind of was short and round. I didn't have any waist. My thighs rubbed to my knees. And then we moved to Florida. So growing up in South Florida, it's hot, at the beach. It was very awkward for me and hard in those years. And I decided that I wasn't just gonna, live by chance by what my parents had taught me in the food culture I was raised in. And I decided I was gonna get educated. So and not even at college, I just started reading books. I picked up a nutrition book and I started changing. I made a plan for my future. I said, you know what? I'm not going to have to clean my plate, into me like I'm a garbage can. You have to finish everything on your plate. I'm going to eat healthier, fresh foods. And I started changing and growing and realizing there's so much more that I could be doing with my life. And what was the biggest aha? Was that I felt it was so important for me to do something to impact people's lives. And that's when I started realizing there's a difference between what you could do with your life to have a job, a job, where you just go make a paycheck, or where you can do something that actually is your job and you make an income, but you're changing lives. And nobody in my family did that. My father was a canvas man. He sewed cushions and boat covers. And my mom, when they got divorced, she was a stay-at-home. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. She ended up being a single mom, working, went to school to become a nurse. So that was neat. I got to see her really push through and make something of herself. But in all of that, I didn't know who I was and what I was supposed to do. And I believed a lot of lies from childhood on. And then in my 20s, I decided to explore and, what do I like? What do I want to be? I knew that my first college, I was 17, I graduated, and I moved away and I went to school for computers. And I really just went away to school to get away from home. Because my mom and I never got along, unfortunately. And so I just was like, get me out of here, let me go to college. And I went and I didn't like it. And I was getting student loans and it's like, why am I doing this and going away to college and getting all these loans? I don't even like computers. So I quit and I decided, what do I want? At the time, I didn't understand I should be asking God, why did you make me? What are my gifts? What am I here for? I didn't know that yet. So I was just trying different things. I ended up moving to England. I was 19, moved to England, got a job, ended up going to massage school. Because I was learning about nutrition, I said, I think I want to have a retreat center where people can come in and I help them with their health and then I spit them back out to the world healthy and strong. And that was my beginning. And then all through my 20s, I was trying all kinds of different things. All that to say, you know what? You came into the earth to answer a question that God knew you would be the solution for your generation. That's why I say tomorrow's leaders today. Young people, you're not too young to make an impact no matter what age you are. I don't care if you're in grade school, middle school, high school, college, beyond. I know young people that do some extraordinary things. Who's our youngest person in the room? Raise your hand if you are in middle school. Awesome. How about high school? Okay. How about college age? Anybody? Some of the volunteers even, yeah? Okay. And we won't go past that. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, right? I'm 53. Actually, I'll be 53 next month. February 18th is my birthday. And I actually like saying my age. I don't mind. Like, I know some people don't say, they never share their age. I'm like, what's the big deal? It's just a number. You get better with age. I don't know. You definitely wrinkles, and I don't appreciate that part. So I'm going to show you why I was put on the earth. We're going to talk about that today. I'll give you little snippets from my past. But here's my current purpose, is to be the mama of the Hazim team. So yes, I live with all men. My husband, Jeff, my oldest son, Isaiah, my middle son, Cyrus, and my baby is right there, Shiloh. And yes, we have a lot of fun together. We've been a family that my children grew up in their middle school and high school years, coming to my leadership program in the summer. Some of them have taught sessions. We've traveled, we've done missions. We are about serving leadership, and we practice it. You know, I'm very big on conflict resolution, so we don't let things get swept under the rug. Last month, 2 weeks ago was my anniversary. You know what we did for my anniversary? My husband laughed. I said, we're going to have a marriage seminar, honey, just me and you. So we went away for a few days, and we took some notes from a beautiful marriage weekend called Hope Weekend, and we reviewed our notes. And it was such an incredible time to kind of go back through those things that you get stuck on. And a lot of you ladies are not married. Obviously, you're young, but guess what? You have siblings, you have a relationship with your parents. You have a lot of things in your life where you can get stuck. You can get stuck in resentment, bitterness, unforgiveness, anger, fear, and all those things are triggers that if you can start to identify those things young and how to deal with them with God and with amazing tools and mentors and parents, then you will be worlds ahead of where I was at your age. At your age, I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't have God in my life to talk to. I had my aunt, I had my grandma, but grandma was old school Italian, so I couldn't really talk to her like a girlfriend. But I did have my aunt and my mom's big sister who understood my mom. So she helped me decipher my mom. And my mom was just, nothing against my mom, but she was broken and she didn't have some of these tools. If we had known each other's personality type, we would have really probably had a great time together because we would have made room for each other. She wouldn't have been trying to change me into her, and I wouldn't have been trying to grow up to be an adult without feeling under her. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, because honestly, things follow you. Have you ever heard of generational curses? Does anybody know what that is? Where you end up, I'll tell you, and in the nutrition world, it's so true there as well. You will eat, you will shop, you will cook, you will use food similar to how your family did. And you have to come out from under it. Same thing with emotions. My mom was very angry about the divorce. She wanted to hate men. She wanted me to hate men. She wanted me to hate my dad. And that didn't go so well because I didn't hate my dad. So she started to hate me because I didn't hate my dad. And then I started hating my dad. It was like, where does this craziness stop? So I wanted to make a difference and change that whole cycle. So I had to get some tools. So along the way in learning how to deal with different personality types, and of course, that brings along conflict resolution. The only way to do any of that and have it be meaningful in your life, that it actually will be effective, is you have to know who you are and your identity. Because then it all means something. There's a book title called If How-Tos. You guys know what a how-to is? You can go to the store, how to this, how to that, right? All these DIY channels, how to do this. If how-tos were enough, we would all be skinny, rich, and happy. How about that for a book title? So why are how-tos not enough? Anybody? This could be a conversation. Why do you think a how-to might not be enough in life?
Because you have to want to also.
You have to want to. Anybody else? There's something called a knowing, doing gap. You could know something, but doing it is a completely different story. So my husband and I are chiropractors and nutritionists, and we had a big wellness center for many years. While I was being a busy mom, not really working in the office, teaching in homeschool co-ops. Actually, Trisha's son was in my class years ago, so neat to see you again. We started to notice things about our patients. Jeff, my husband, would come home and say, I don't understand it. Why could this one patient take everything we teach and transform their life? And this patient is hearing the same information and does nothing about it. And it was like this constant question. And what we realized was how to's are not enough. It's the who to and who's to. Because that's the value piece. When you value yourself, life changes. Life really changes. This is what I love to tell young people. And honestly, if I'm ever in a room, I will gravitate to the high school students, the college students. I feel like a talent scout. I'm always looking for those amazing role models. Who can we train to be the next future leader? I'm training trainers and mentoring mentors. And it's so life-changing when you could put people up to great things, put a microphone in their hand. Because guess what? Your words matter. You matter. Your opinion matters. But guess what? We don't always get in environments where we're honored to share our thoughts, right? How often are we criticized for our thoughts? How often are we told, that's stupid. You'll never do that thing. Girls, I want you to all look up here a minute. All you girls back there, look up here. Have you ever been told that's a dumb idea? Have you ever been told that? Anyone ever tell you, you're not going to do that thing? Right? I hope you have dreams in your heart. Big dreams. Dreams too big for you. Because those dreams can come true. If you get around people who believe in you, who give you an opportunity to share those dreams and get behind you. I tell my students that I'm the mommy eagle, even in my own home. I tell them, listen, you know what eagles do? Did you know eagle babies have toys? They literally have toys. And the mommy eagle lines the nest, makes it all soft with her feathers, and gives them cans and toys and things. But when it's time for them to learn to fly, they get rid of all the toys and they take all the lining out of the nest. And they make it uncomfortable so that baby is not so cozy and wants to fly. Right? So sometimes we have to hear things that are a little uncomfortable. Sometimes we have to be pushed along and motivated and said, I believe in you, we could do hard things, let's do it, I'm behind you. So if you were called to greatness and you start to know, you know what, I'm awesome. Not in a way where you're so prideful, like, look at me, I have 50 million likes. Follow me, I'm an influencer. Not like that. Like in a way where you like really go, you know what, I like me. I have some great qualities. I'm an amazing friend. I'm creative. I want to start a business. Or I can really talk to my friend and help her with her troubles. There's so many other qualities that I can list that probably all of you in this room have one or two or maybe more of those. Then that means you have some incredible things inside of you to share with the world. It's not just for you. And everything you go through is not just for you. That's why I like to tell my stories of things that I've gone through and where I've been, because it wasn't just for me. In the moment, it's horrible and yucky. But on the other end, when you're stepping on the side of being an overcomer, that's where it becomes amazing and the great adventure in life. So don't you want to be extraordinary and excellent and exceptional? Well, there's some things that we have to get in our world. So when educating young leaders, these are some of the things that you should be getting in your world, whether you're in middle school, high school, or beyond. How to communicate and have conflict resolution. You ever just get into this argument with somebody where you're like, I don't know how to get past this. Maybe you don't have the tools. Maybe you don't have the self-control to keep your anger at a minimum, right? If you're a road rager, that's kind of an indication. Social dynamics of relationships, such as friendship, dating, and love. Girls, you don't want to fall into dating relationships when it should have just been a friendship. Or maybe you don't want to assume that you're in love with somebody and that's really infatuation. So how do you learn the difference? You're young. You're not just expected to know it. You have to be taught it. Conversations about those things are really important and really kind of fun and interesting. How about challenges that are facing you as an adolescent and an adult in this world, in this crazy post-COVID world? I mean, we're not quite post-COVID, soon. But anyway, I mean, it's been hard, right? A lot of you literally, like, it was like a year of your life was just boop, gone. No graduation, no prom, isolated, stuck at home on a computer as if you're really doing school in your pajamas in your bed. Come on, let's be real. That was a joke year. Okay, but now it's back to real life with people engaging and doing things outside of your bedroom, outside of the bed. How about how to make positive decision making? How to enhance your confidence? Would you like to be confident? Would you like to be able to walk into a room and just not feel like, let me hide over here? I literally have been talking to young people who want to wear the mask the rest of their life because it's a place to hide. Well, they don't have to see me. I don't like my smile. I don't like my nose. I don't like whatever. That breaks my heart. You are all born so beautiful, so unique. Don't hide behind a mask. Please, ever, never, never. How about self-acceptance, identity, purpose? Oh my goodness, you guys were all born for big, big purpose. I wish I could just show you your future, what God has in store for you. And you even have a mustard seed of faith to believe you can do it. And you will do it. You will be that eagle soaring. How about sexual risk avoidance? That's a topic that I know in the public schools, they talk about it all the time and in ways that are not necessarily the truth for the way you were created to be. We need to have these conversations. They're important. So like you saw in the video, I'm training TLT, Tomorrow's Leaders Today. And this was actually written by one of my young leaders, an amazing young man, Dennis Esteman. He says, we aren't the next, we're the now. We aren't the future, we are the present. We're not just serving for a brighter tomorrow, we are leading for a better today. We are TLT, Tomorrow's Leaders Today. I want you all to see yourselves that way, because truly, I believe it. I'll believe it for you. I have enough belief in it for both of us, but I want you to step into it and believe it as well. You know, like I said, you were born for greatness, but what do you think's happening in the world? Does the world want you to step into your greatness? And maybe some people like me, others, mentors, your moms, your family, but by and large, the world at large, is the world at large your best fan and buddy? Or are they the ones going, yeah, right, good luck. You don't have enough likes, you know, all that stuff. So you have to steer clear of the pull. I like to say you're not a chicken and a crow on the barnyard floor. You're not scratching around. You are an eagle meant to soar. So let's look at some quick statistics. 1 in 6 people on the earth right now are teenagers. Okay? My favorite people, the teenagers. I thought this was interesting, and I'd love your opinion, you young people, on why you think this is. Take a look at this. 51% of young adults, this is a teenage survey, said, yes, I'm a Christian, only 51%. And only 8% of those said that they're really committed to their faith. So wearing a label Christian doesn't really mean you're walking as a Christian, right? We all know that. Only 8%. Why is that? Honestly, why is that? Anybody want to tell me why you think that is? I love when there's honesty and feedback from the people. What do you think? Anyone?
Nation's embarrassed.
So,
They're embarrassed.
embarrassed
Yeah.
to walk their faith?
I think the world is pulling them away.
The world, luring, different things.
It's hard.
It's hard. It is hard, right? Let's talk about that for a minute. There's a book that I recommend. Any of you moms, grab a pen, write this book down. It's called Do Hard Things. And it was written by 2 teenage twin brothers. When they were in high school, they wrote this book. And they started a blog that went viral. It was called Revolution, like being a rebel, revolutionary.com. And it went viral. And it was by teenagers for teenagers. You know why they started it? Because they were tired of low expectations put on them by adults in the world, saying, you're too young, you're not good enough. And they were like, oh, yes, we are. And they started this thing, and then they wrote a book. It was amazing. It's called Do Hard Things. And I love that book for young people because it's very inspiring. And I think, when I talk to adults, I hold up the book a lot of times. I say, these young people are putting us to shame because nothing's going to stop them. And they believe in themselves. And you know what? Doing hard things is okay. I like to say, what's my favorite quote?
Hard is the new fun.
Hard is the new fun. The nutritionist in me will say, broccoli is the new cookie. Yeah, you're not going to buy that one, right? But hard is the new fun. So 96% of teens, and I don't think just teens, I think humans on the planet, watch videos every single day. Videos every single day. A lot of screen time. 36% of teens in the US reported having suicidal thoughts in the past 3 months. This is usually an eye-opener to parents because we don't think it could ever happen to us, well, not in our home, so on and so forth. The highest rate in the world in 20 countries surveyed. This is the one that I really feel is an eye-opener for society today. Because this is what young people, not just young people, are dealing with. Okay? They've had depression, anxiety, use of pornography, of course with all that screen time, suicidal thoughts, same-sex attraction. These are common mental situations that are going on in our youth today and in the world today, not just youth today. It's something to take a look at and think about how we can support our young people to have emotional health. It's not something taboo that we can't talk about mental health. Mental health is important to talk about. It really is. And if you don't talk about it, the world will fill in the gaps. So better to talk about it and create some help, right? So let's talk about how to rise above common culture, right? Those chickens and crows. How do we rise above that? We're not born for that. We're born to soar. We know that. So what do? These are some things. Changing your world. How do you change your world? You change your world by changing you. How do you do that? Connecting with God, knowing your identity, and stepping into values. You see the words here that I have bolded? Those are the words that should pop out. Values, character, preferring others, like a serving leader, respect, love, words matter. Thanks, gratitude, identity, purpose, empathy, appreciation. These are all things we need, like we need air in our world today. But they're all things that are not really taught so much in school. And because of our busy lives, often we're not having these conversations at home either. So it's time to do that. There's lots of tools out there to get these concepts in your life. One thing that I want to talk about really quickly is something that I think is so eye-opening when I teach this to teenagers, and they go, wow, and they see themselves, they see their parents, pretty revealing, they see the people in their world, and it's something that I have in my curriculum. I'm just going to put this here so I can use my hands. Okay, so emotional stages of development. Now, every adult knows that teenagers typically would say something like, don't tell me what to do, right? Isn't that like a typical, right? Teenagers get accused of that. Well, guess what? It isn't just teenagers. It's anybody who has the emotional maturity of a teenager. Just because somebody's age is 30, 40, 50, doesn't matter. If they're emotionally not developed, we'll say, they don't have an EQ of an adult, then they're going to be the same way. They're going to be the same way. So think about it. What does an infant say? An emotional infant says, I want what I want. How do babies communicate? They cry. That's their language. They cry, and then we, take care of it. So that's an emotional infant. How about you get a little older, and now you're an emotional toddler, little child running around, right? Getting into mischief. Well, how do they react emotionally? They act out with behavior. Maybe they'll push something. Maybe they'll shove their brother. Maybe they'll whatever, right? Sometimes they don't even do it verbally. It's like stealthily because they want attention. But teenagers, emotional adolescents, don't tell me what to do. And I was stuck there for a long time. Growing up in a divorced home, and I'll be very honest, I did not respect either parent. And maybe you might find yourselves there, I don't know, or in the past, but my father did a lot of things that were wrong that I saw to my mother, and then he got married 3 more times. And my dad was like my Prince Charming. He was a ballroom dancer, and I was like his dance partner. So it was like, just that feeling of being twirled and dancing with your dad. And then it was like, here's your new stepmom, here's your new stepmom, here's your new stepmom. But do you not care if she loves me, if I even like her? And nope, it was all about him. When we go through pain and we do our best, and I have to choose to believe he was doing the best that he thought. But, and I didn't get that till I was mature, looking back. At the time, I went along with my mother's plan to hate him because I couldn't even believe it. I was in shock. So I didn't respect him. And then my mom had her whole set of issues, and I won't even get into that, why I didn't respect her. So it's kind of, what do you do when you're young and you don't respect mom or dad? What do you think you become? A rebel. An independent rebel who doesn't really appreciate authority and will be basically make it happen on my own. That didn't leave me in a good place with God either. I didn't ever consider, maybe I should ask God what he thinks. So what do you think happened? I go out in the world, make my way, marry the wrong guy that everybody told me not to marry, and now I was in trouble because it became a physically abusive situation. And if any of you have ever experienced physical abuse or any kind of abuse, that's very scary. Very scary. And my pride didn't really want me to admit it to my family or anybody. So I lived in a scary, it only lasted 1.5 years, thank God. I really could have died in that situation. But really, that wasn't even the first situation like that. In my dating days, I was a guy with physically abusive. I had been in a situation that was sexually abusive and verbally abusive. Like, how do you find yourself in these places, ladies? How? It happens when you don't know who you are and you don't have a standard. So you kind of like just fall for different things. And also when you believe lies. So one of the lies I believed was that I wasn't good enough because of my crazy family. I was like, what nice guy is going to want to marry me when I have a mom like that and a dad like that? Yeah, no. And then that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where you just go find the wrong guy because you believe that lie about yourself. So you have to erase those lies. That I didn't learn until my 30s. So when you know who you are, and I want to take a quick snapshot of this and to show you who you are, I want you to think of it like this cell phone, right? These devices are like amazing, right? They're like a computer in your hand when they're fully charged. But when the battery dies, then what? It's good for nothing. Well, you look at this and you are a body, you are a soul, and you are a spirit. There's 3 parts of you, right? Like the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Which is the part that's truly you? Well, is it the body? Raise your hand if you think your body is who you truly are. Nobody, right? Your body is literally an earth suit. When you leave Earth, your body stays here. It isn't who you are. It's your vehicle. It's your car to get you around. You better take care of it. You only get one, but it's not who you are. How about that next layer, that soul piece? The one that's like, my mind, my will, my emotions, all those things that you feel are who you are. Your personality, your taste buds, all the 5 senses. Is that who you are? Anybody? They're so quiet. No, it's not who you are. It's the spirit man inside of you. That's the part. So when I say it's like the cell phone, when we plug this in, what are we plugging it into? Say it louder.
Electricity.
The electricity, so the source, so to speak, right? We would say God. If we don't plug into his capital S spirit, right? He's the capital S, we're the lowercase s. We're supposed to reflect him. This reflects, right, when you plug it in. Then we're going to be dead. And you have to feed every part of this. They all eat. Your body eats, your soul man eats, and your spirit eats what you feed it. You have to be careful what you feed it. And who's in charge of who. If that spirit man isn't the top dog running the show, then that soul man will be. And that spirit man will be like you ever see, I used to put up a slide, a funny one of, you know those dogs that are like a Great Dane, they look like a horse, they're gigantic, and then a little Chihuahua? See the difference? Which one should be the spirit, that strong man? Should be the Chihuahua, right? It should be that Great Dane. Or you ever see somebody walking their dog, but really the dog's walking them, and they're like, right, the dog's running the show? So you want that spirit man to be running the show. And that has a lot to do with identity and your alignment. Now, I'm a chiropractor, so I love pictures like this because I'm constantly on that one over there, Shiloh. This is our code. This is our code. I go like this. What do you think this means? This is the posture, the C. If I see him like this, I go like this. Straighten up, stand up, use your spine. Actually, you can hold your head up with your spine. But think about it, ladies. Your posture, what do we do all day? We're like this. So look at my side view. I'm ruining my posture. And then if I sit and I slump, right? It doesn't take long to look like a 60, 70, 80-year-old kyphotic spine, which really destroys your breathing and lots of other things. So please, that's my chiropractic pitch today. Sit up. Put your head up. Come on. You ever, back in the day when we would do etiquette training, you'd put a book on your head and you'd have to walk because your chin was up, not like this, all day long. And if you see side view that your head is jutted out like a turtle, you're aging yourself big time. But spiritually, let's look at this. What is your alignment? What are you aligning with? Are you aligning with God? Like I said, the Holy Spirit, plugging in, where you're in tune, where you reflect Him. Oh my goodness, that's the posture to be an eagle. That's exactly where we want to go. I want to help you raise the bar. And we're going to talk really quick, because I know we're running out of time, about some great techniques. So number one technique for me with raising the bar with your posture, your emotional intelligence, meaning you're going to mature, and it shows up. You know where it shows up? The fruit of the Spirit. Who knows the fruit of the Spirit? Come on, who knows it? Let's say it together. Ready?
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control.
Which is the least favorite one of you? Give me a couple of you. Raise your hand and say, oh, I really need fertilizer on that fruit. Come on. Self-control, the neglected fruit. I have a teaching. My husband and I have a DVD series called Lessons for Healthy Living. That's body, soul, and spirit. And that's one of my teachings, the neglected fruit of self-control. So gratitude. Gratitude is an exercise. And we are going to do an exercise today. It's not the gratitude one, but I wanted to show you it. In Identify Impact, 2 years ago, we had a big gratitude tree. And one of my speakers came and we talked about how to really practice this in your life. It's not happy people that are grateful. You can't just be thankful because you're so happy. It's happy people that are grateful. So if you practice gratitude, you're going to be a happy person because you're actually the one appreciating. And guess what? Gratitude is not just to be thankful for what you like. There's actually a practice of thanking God for what you don't like. So back to my story about my dad, really quick. I knew I was really in a mess because I was really hating my dad. And I was seeing how it was affecting my mother's life. I said, I don't want to be that way. And it was right around the time where I was starting to have some conversations with God, letting him in my decisions, consulting him. It's like a whole new little world for me. And I read a book, and in the book, she talked about the sacrifice of praise, where you actually thank God for what you don't like as a sacrifice. You don't mean it, but you want to mean it. So it's like that mustard seed of faith, and God meets you. It's like when you go to the gym. You just start out, and you're like, half a pound, oh gosh. And then, oh, that's easy. Then you move up. It's like that. So I said, all right, I'm going to do this. And in the book, she said, thank God for what you don't like You'll feel like rocks are in your mouth, but do it anyway in faith as a sacrifice to God. You literally have to take your brain and check it on the altar and go, So I said, thank you for my dad. Ugh, I didn't even mean it. I was like, I can't even believe I just said that. Ew. But I wanted to be healed more than I wanted to be right and mad at him. Girls, I hope you're listening to this, because this is one of the biggest keys of my life. And I'm giving you a tool right now. And gratitude is not just about being happy for what's working out in your life. It's more important to practice being thankful for what you don't like, because you're going to get through it. And then you're going to see on the other end why you went through it. You're going to be a better, stronger person. So it took a couple days, and God met me. And now it wasn't so bad. I'm like, all right, thank you for my dad. Now it was kind of neutral. Then it moved over to a heart of like empathy and compassion. I was like, man, I wonder what my dad went through in his life. I wonder why he ended up that way. Wow. Then I wanted to understand his heart. Then I forgave him. Then we started to have a good relationship. Then I was healthy enough with men to actually have a husband. All those steps had to go along the way. But it would have never happened if I wasn't willing to do a hard thing and press in. Emotional work is not easy work. And that's why I start with gratitude. So what's another one? How about confronting fear? Who knows what fear stands for? What's the acronym for fear? Anybody know? Okay, think of the word fear. Fault, right? False, evidence, appearing real. That's what fear is. False evidence, appearing real. It really seems real. Like, whoa, like you just want to live in that place of fear. Like that thing is so real. And chances are it was never going to happen anyway. And with God, all things are possible, and you could have pressed through it. So kick fear to the curb. How about redefining? And we already talked about this. Hard is to do fun. You can do that. And then the last one, my favorite one. Words matter. Words matter. So I'm going around and doing assemblies in schools based on an activity that we have started to identify called The Greatness I See in You. And the greatness I see in people is something that we need to say out loud. We're a little stingy with our words. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. Like, let it out. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. You just open the mouth and what it costs us is swallowing our pride sometimes, doing it afraid, being willing to risk feeling weird, like what are they gonna think that I'm saying this weird thing? They're gonna think I'm corny or it's cringy or whatever. But no, it's awesome. When you think about it in the world of criticism, how about that nursery rhyme? You guys remember this nursery rhyme? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but the rest is a lie. This is the truth. But words will infect my mind. They'll infect your mind. Words matter. You matter. So every word you say matters. We can't be sloppy with our words, including the words you say to yourself. How about those? I'm ugly. I'm fat. I'm not smart enough. I'll never get to do XYZ. Those are the deadliest of all. There's actually even subconscious words you don't realize are going on. Like I said, I had to identify that I didn't feel worthy to have like the marriage I have now. So I would go in all these bad relationships, but that wasn't a conscious thought. I had to really do a lot of work later on to realize that that was a corrupt program running me. I wasn't making my own decisions. Those lies and those words were running me. Kind of like our computer where we have to delete bad programs, right? You have to delete bad programs. You can't just believe and make it up bad. Make it up good. Make it up. If you're going to make it up anyway, you might as well make it up feeling good about yourself. That you can move on in life and not get stuck. So we're going to have a little fun and we're going to do an activity. All right. So who can help me hand out these cards? Or maybe if somebody from each table or whoever. But I want everybody to get 2 of these cards. 2 of the cards. The rest we could just put over there. By the way, ladies, while they're handing these out, I have these, they're packaged up, the words matter that we're about to do now, there's 16 variety pack and you can see them on my table. And then the gratitude cards I have as well. And I'm gonna write what I wrote to the potential person who would buy these cards because it's a beautiful practice and it's something that I want to perpetuate in this world. The greatness I see in you is a valuable person worth believing in. You were born with strengths for a unique purpose. This world needs you to share the greatness inside of you. Go for it. You matter. You matter, ladies. And the gratitude one. Practicing a thankful heart opens your eyes to life's blessings like love, kindness, support, and generosity. You are one of those blessings. I believe in you. So this is what we're going to do. The first card is going to be to yourself. To yourself. You have permission right now to write yourself a love letter and tell yourself the greatness you see inside of you. Now, hold on, don't start yet. If you're like, yeah, I have nothing to say, that's okay. I remember being there. Make it up, do it afraid, and write what you think God would tell you. Or your mom, or an auntie, or somebody who pours into your life, because there's got to be somebody who has spoken life over you. But this is a practice for you to speak life over you. And this is going to be a contract with you and God. So I want you to write it and then sign it and date it. And you're going to keep that somewhere special. And you're going to see how that is going to become who you are. You're going to step into it. So the next card, we are going to write this one to our mom or our daughter. If you're the daughter, obviously you're writing it to your mom. If they're not here, you can write it and take it with you. If it's not a mom, for whatever reason, if it's an aunt or a mentor, I want you to write it to somebody who is, obviously it's not to you, this one, and it would be great if it was to your mother. While you're finishing that, I want to tell you about an assembly that I did with this Words Matter. It was the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It was about 100 students, and I had my Words Matter shirt on, and we were talking about Words Matter, and we talked about that nursery rhyme, and how that's not true, that sticks and stones, don't hurt us, or words don't hurt us. And I said, hold on, who has the courage to come up and share some words that were spoken of you that hurt? And a girl raised her hand. It was very courageous. She came up and stood with me. And she said, every day my mom tells me I'm worthless. You could feel that, right? And you can't imagine why that would be true, but it was true. And you felt the room go boom, and everybody kind of leaned in and wanted to see what was going to happen next. I said, well, you know what? We're going to speak words that matter, that are going to cancel that. So who can speak life over her and tell her what's really true? Because that's a lie. And her friends, her classmates raised their hand, and about 7 of them were, it was so beautiful. You saw her just grow like a flower blooming in that moment, believing them. And this activity, these cards, these are new. I just produced these in November, but the activity's not new. When we do this at Identify, you see people, we do it orally too, sometimes. And you see people say, wow, if a stranger who barely knows me can see greatness in me, maybe I can believe it. Maybe I'll dare to believe it. You don't know how something you can think, say, or do today can affect the lives of millions tomorrow. That's a quote that I used to see every day at chiropractic school. the president of my school, Dr. Sid Williams, he believed in words of affirmation. They were all over the school. And you would be going to class and you'd see one. Well, my favorite one was that one. I'll say it again. You never know how far-reaching something you think, say, or do today will affect the lives of millions tomorrow. I hope something that I said here today you'll take with you and it will affect you. I pray that you pick up some of the packets. They're for donation. It goes straight to my scholarship fund for the Identify Impact Leadership Intensive, which we have great fundraisers available to help you guys to be able to afford it. So help me make an impact in these young leaders and share words that matter. So we're going to raise the bar. And my heart now in this next year is not just to work with teenagers, is to work with families. Because I really believe we need to turn the hearts of the parents to the children and the children to the parents. And tools like this, which seem simple, but it's not so simple sometimes. But we need to practice it. We need to get that spiritual muscle. We need to open our mouth and be generous with our words and share words that matter. Because our words matter and people matter. Each and every one of you matter. That's why I say tomorrow's leaders today, because you can, some of you young girls, you can give a card like that, even anonymously. Slip it on somebody's desk at school. Go put it on your mom's, desk where she keeps her keys. It's so fun. That's when life really becomes the great adventure with God. Because you never know how he wants to use you. You just have to get in alignment and be willing and be that eagle to soar. I said that I'm here today to tell you some testimonies and share some of my stories, share some tools. It's what I have to offer. The life I've lived, the things I've overcome, the things I've learned that I wish I learned at your age. I do what I do because nobody taught me these things at your age. And I think that it needs to be mainstream to know how to deal with our emotions and to grow up emotionally and not be stuck as an emotional infant. We didn't talk about the emotional adult. The hallmark of an emotional adult? Somebody who can realize that what they think, say, or do will affect others. And they care. And maybe they have the self-control to not say, do, or think those things because of the way it affects others. That's called a serving leader. When you prefer others. Doesn't mean that you get kicked to the curb. Doesn't mean you're a doormat and people are going to walk all over you and you never get what you want in life. In fact, it means you do. Because when you live a life like that, as a serving leader, you're confident, you know who you are. You are a daughter of the king. I don't know any princess. When I was little, I used to look up to Princess Diana. You don't know any princesses or royalty, not in a Disney way, in a God kingdom way. God is the king of the universe. You are his daughters. That means you are royal princesses. And I'm not joking. That crown, it may be invisible on earth, but sometimes we got to straighten it out. We got to put up our head to say, I know who I am. I know what I was created for. Put that muscle of faith into action. So I spent today with you, and I thank you again, Joan and Amanda, for having me here today. It's my honor and privilege to be able to pour into you. And I just want to read you this. This is a quote from a book. This author is Dr. John Stallworth. I recommend you find his books. He writes about serving leadership. They're novels, so you fall in love with the characters in the story while you're learning incredible principles for serving leadership. And he wrote a book called With. And that's something that we did today. We were just with each other, right? You were with the people at your table. I got to be with you. I felt you were with me. And that's really why I came here today. And I'm going to read this to you. Are you with me? Think about that in your life, you guys. We did a session of this Identify. Who are you with and who's with you? We need to know that in life. I'm here because you're here. Because you're here. Because you're here. I'm here because you're here. I wouldn't be here if you weren't here. I'm here because you're here. I want to be with you. Not apart, not against, not above. I'm no better than anybody. Not below, simply with. So I thank you, ladies. Please come talk to me at my table. I'd love to give you more information.